almost smacked a young person across the street when they was like, Miss Renee, I'm tired of you. Go to the back of the bus, Harriet Tubman. First of all, I wanted to kick her square in the pussy because she didn't know the difference between Harriet Tubman and Rosa Parks. Oh, my life. Hello there, love bugs. Hello there, Bellas. If you have not already done so, please remember to like, share to Facebook, subscribe, and tip your favorite narrator via Cash App at $NAROB on YouTube. And if you are not already a part of this book club, please hit the Patreon link below and or the join button here on the YouTube. And for a small monthly fee of $5, you babies, yes, you can be privy to all the shenanigans before the YouTube gets it, if the YouTube gets it. Now, babies, y'all know I'm home. I told you that in the last video. But this is earn day. Okay, I feel like I've been running around all day taking care of shiz. You know, my cousin was like, Nay, why every time you come home, you always running around, running errands? You're supposed to be relaxing. Baby, when you home, you got shit to do. You hear me? You got shit to do. All right, and plus, I think I got something else going on that may be a positive in my life, and I'm excited. And that's all I got to say about that. The Stax Singers were about to leave their hotel in Nashville for a performance the evening of April 4th, 1968, when they heard the news. They were still in the parking lot when intercepted by a distressed fan. Pops, they just shot Dr. King. The family returned to their room and flipped on the television. Walter Cronkite delivered the sobering message. Good evening. Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee. Pause. One of my people in the comments, like I say, I don't always respond, but I always read. When one of you people was absorbing what I was saying about the movement in the 50s and the 60s, they mentioned how they forgot how far we've come. And it's so sad that the struggles that African Americans and some whites, some other cultures made to put us to a place of relaxation is now taken advantage of. So far, these are my words, we are so far removed from the civil rights movement that we have lost our pride that was instilled in African American culture. Remember, the Stax Singers had a song, Respect Yourself. They were talking about pride and respecting yourselves. Just the smallest things, wash your ass, clean your hair, brush your teeth. Those were all little things that they put in songs to make sure that children knew how important it was to have a sense of pride. And we are that far removed that it don't even matter. You know, I almost smacked a young person across the street when they was like, Miss Renee, I'm tired of you. I'm tired of you. Go to the back of the bus, Harriet Tubman. First of all, I wanted to kick her square in the pussy because she didn't know the difference between Harriet Tubman and Rosa Parks. Okay? But that's where they are now. And later in the report, Cronkite noted there was a shot in Harlem tonight when word of Dr. King's murder reached the nation's largest Negro community. Men, women, and children poured into the streets They appeared dazed. Many were crying. Yeah, I wasn't there, but man, even just as a child watching it and remembering it, that man, as a child born in the 70s, we still had so much black pride. Pops, Mavis, Cleotha, and Purvis wept as Cronkite's words hit home. Cleety, it was the toughest for her, Mavis recalls. Pops was trying to hold all of us because we were out of control. We couldn't talk to each other for the longest time about it without crying. Pops canceled the show that night, and the families planned to travel to Memphis the next day, where they had been scheduled to join King in his battle for the city's striking African American sanitation workers who were seeking equal pay and working conditions. Instead, they drove the 12 hours to Chicago in a daze. Their old DJ friend from Arkansas, Al Bell, had moved to Memphis in the early 60s, right around the time Jim Stewart and his sister, Estelle Stewart Axton, were focusing Stax on the emerging regional R&B scene and striking a partnership with Atlantic Records. Bell was an early King disciple, but he left the fold after he pulled a switchblade in the face. What? After a nonviolent march in Savannah. Let me say this about Greg Kot. I respect your verbiage. I respect how you like to use descriptive words. But sometimes I think he's over the top. But that's the only real criticism I have about this book. I shouldn't have to pull out a dictionary every other page. And I am an avid reader. Okay, my vocabulary has been that girl forever. But baby, some of these words you use is just unnecessary. You want to make a book good enough for the reader to ease through. In Memphis, he helped promote Stax's roster on his daily WLOK radio show, where the former Alvertus Isabel of Brinkley, Arkansas, signed on like the larger-than-life character he already was. This is your 6'4" bundle of joy, 212 pounds of Mrs. Bell's baby boy, soft as medicated cotton, rich as double-X cream, the women's pet, the men's threat, the baby boy, Al Bell, punctuated by the ringing of a bell. After moving to Washington, D.C. for a couple of years, Bell was summoned back to Memphis in 1965 by Jim Stewart as Stax's first in-house promotion man. By 1968, he had essentially taken over day-to-day operation of the label, and in 1969 was named co-owner, becoming one of the most powerful African American executives in the music industry. After breaking ties with Atlantic, which retained the label's back catalog, Stax began feverishly rebuilding its musical assets under Bell's direction. Booker T. Jones of the label's Booker T and the MG's house band called Bell our Otis for promotion, after the legendary Stax singer Otis Redding, who had died in a 1967 plane crash. One of Bell's priorities was to sign his old friends, the Staple Singers, to Stax. On July 25th, 1968, he did just that. His newest act, one of his linchpins for rejuvenating the label, was a veteran vocal group that had already been performing professionally for 2 decades. Pop Staples was then 53 years old. Cleotha, 34, Purvis, 33, and Mavis, 29. Yet, in many ways, the group's sound couldn't have been more current. Its influence evident in a musical spectrum that stretched from gospel to soul and into rock. Aretha Franklin's #2 hit, Chain of Fools, kicked off with a guitar riff that sounded an awful lot like something Pops might play. Ooh, facts, y'all. Producer Jerry Wexler later affirmed that he instructed guitarist Joe South to do just that. We went for the pop staples sound by tuning the guitar down 4 or 5 steps and tuning up the vibrato to the max, creating a deep, mysterious tremolo. Ooh. John Fogerty was a Pops fan too, as evidenced by the slow, steamy, overdriven guitar riff that cut through Creedence Clearwater Revival's classic, Born by the Bayou. I used to listen to the Religious Hour on Sunday evenings. They had a gospel show that lasted 2 or 3 hours, Fogerty said. And though the staples weren't yet a fixture on Top 40 radio or Progressive FM, their vocal blend certainly was. Bell thought the staples were ideally suited to the rough-edged soul that was Stax's specialty. A raw, earthier, more down-home sound than the slicker uptown arrangements favored by its northern counterpart, Detroit-based Motown. As soon as he found that Epic wasn't going to renew the Staples singer's contract, Bell pounced. Pause in the draws. Who else would give Motown a run for their motherfucking money? But that's Stax. Another label was bidding for them after their contract expired, Bell recalls. I was able to convince Jim Stewart that we should sign them. In my conversations with Pops, I think the relationship we had helped. That $1,000 he earned in Arkansas at one of my shows back in the 50s still remained in his mind. I never saw them as gospel artists, but as rare, great, and unique singers. The problem I had was since I was making so much noise internally and so excited in trying to get them, I had to be careful that the other artists didn't think me biased and showing special favor. I really wanted to get into the studio with them from the start to produce, but I didn't want to show favoritism. So I went to Steve Cropper, who I thought could get them to the next level. Y'all, I appreciate what he's doing, okay? Because that was part of the #1 problem with Clive Davis. Clyde got, and how I'm going to be mad that he doing what I do. But I ain't no goddamn record executive. What Clive Davis would do is he would get obsessed with an artist. Speaking of Riri and Whitney, and everything else just falls by the wayside. Phyllis Hyman over there like, hi, I'm here. I can sing too. Help me. Cropper was only 26 when he started working with the Staples, but he already was a veteran of countless sessions and tours. He was not only the guitarist in Booker T and the MGs, but he had written and produced numerous hits for other artists, including Sitting on the Dock of the Bay with Otis Redding, Knock on Wood with Eddie Floyd, and In the Midnight Hour with Wilson Pickett. Perfect. All those songs that he just named, that this dude Cropper just named, could easily be sung by the Staples singers. The guitarist was born in Missouri but moved to Memphis with his family when he was 9 and heard the Staples music for the first time on the local soul gospel station WDAI. At Stax, we all knew who they were before they got there. Their sound was so identifiable, he says. The rhythm, the hand claps. I thought we needed some of that on our record. We couldn't get anyone at Stax to clap like that. Those sanctified rhythms. As a guitarist who valued concision, Cropper deeply appreciated Pop's economical attitude toward the instrument and its central role in the Staples sound. Cropper claims he didn't pay much attention to the Staples records at Epic, but in many ways he picked up where Epic left off. In the family's first recording sessions in Memphis for the Soul Folk in Action album on September 5th, 6th, 10th, and 12th, 1968, the producer mixed contemporary material with gospel-flavored message-oriented protest songs. Long Walk to D.C., Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, and The Ghetto, the three singles released from Soul Folk in Action, failed to crack the charts. But Al Bell was undaunted. In February 1969, he not only had the Staples singers back in the studio again with Cropper, he put Mavis and Cropper to work on the singer's first solo album. Oh, my life,